Thank you again for joining us. This is our SGL Lifematics, the mathematics of life. There's a very important topic that we tend to overlook all this while. That's the topic of suicide. Sometimes you hear stories that breaks the heart and people start wondering what is going on. Again, I have a great personality with me today. It's a regular face on our SGL Lifematics. It's Dr. Ruth. Dr. Ruth, you don't need an introduction, so I'm not going to worry about introduction. Suicide is extremely, extremely concerning. Tell me, what causes suicide? 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Jude, for this hour and time. Just like Mr. Jude said, my name is Princess Dr. Ruth Ifediora, and I'm based in Dallas, Texas. Suicide, wow. Mr. Jude, I'm going to tell you in one word, there is no one cause of suicide. Suicide is a behavioral issue. But by definition, according to Center for Disease Control, for Disease Prevention and Control, it says, and I quote, suicide is a death caused by an injurious behavior with an intent to die by that behavior. Which means if the intent is not there, it is not suicide. So the question becomes, if there is no one cause of suicide, what are the triggers? So the triggers we can share in two areas. It can be modifiable or non-modifiable, and that is what we call risk. What are some of the risk factors? And remember, the goal of suicide prevention is to reduce the risk factors and increase the protective factors. The risk factors, modifiable, could be individuals, it could be economy, it could come from the community, to come from the society, okay? So from the individual side, some of the modifiables is what? Is lack of a job. Can you get a new job? Yes, you can get a new job. Another thing is financial problems. Can you be able to empower yourself and become financially stable? Yes, you can. Another one is legal problems. Can you come out of legal issues? Okay? Substance use disorders. Can you stop taking drugs? Yes. These are just few of the individual issues that can arise. And when you come to non-modifiable, what you cannot change is what? Previous of suicide attempts. Loss of a loved one. Your parents died. Are you going to bring them back? No. How is your grieving? Can you grieve well? Yes, you can grieve well. Okay? These are some of the things. Anything history. History of loss of a job. Yeah, you have the history, but you can make a change. But are you going to wipe away the history? No. History of suicide attempt. Are you going to wipe away that history? No. But can you stop attempting? Yes, you can. So these are in the individual level. What of relationships? Domestic violence is a big one. Abuse, rape. Those are some of the things that can trigger what? Suicide. Breakup in a relationship. Divorce. These are some of the things that can do what? Trigger suicide or trigger someone to start thinking about suicide. In the community, when people don't have access to basic needs, they cannot afford food, they cannot afford house, they are homeless, they cannot afford or have access to healthcare, they don't have access to education, they don't have access to any type of empowerment. That can do what? That can trigger someone to start entertaining suicide ideas in their head. Cultural beliefs is a taboo. Cultural practices, religious practices is an issue. Those are some of the things. Stigma. Social issues around us. What are the things that consider social determinant of health? Do our people have access to it in the community? These are some of the risk factors that can trigger suicide. Chronic conditions, chronic illnesses, mental health issues. I have a kidney failure. That falls under chronic conditions. Physical issues. There are so many. Incarceration. What can you say? What can you not say? These are the things that live around us on a daily basis. That's why suicide is a behavioral issue. Then how do we prevent it? How do we prevent suicide? Is to do what? Is to first of all look at how to eliminate the risk factors. So you and I plays a role. We all are members of suicide prevention team. When you talk to your kids, how do you talk to them? How do you reduce stress among your kids? Your son went to school and had A in the class. Do they come back and you flog them? You talk bad over them, or do you stand and celebrate the 80? They came back with 10 over 100. Do you celebrate the 10? Or do you tell them why other people have 100 and having 10? Learn to celebrate one another. Learn to talk to one another in a kind way. Let me ask you, Mr. Jude, or anyone listening to me, as you drive to Walmart this morning, is there any road created for people that went to Harvard and people that went to community college? You get into the Walmart, are there a place that said this is for people that have A's and these are for people that have F? We create our own stress because we engage in unnecessary competition. We engage in unnecessary behavior that does not work. Everybody must have A in school. Nobody is a failure. But the way you interact with one another determines how your child can come to you and say, Daddy, I have 10. You celebrate with your son. You celebrate with your daughter and say, oh, you just have 10. Let's go celebrate the 10. And after that, you come back and say, let's see what happened to the 90. Then you sit down with your child and go through step by step. Review those things and see how you can help your child. Empower them. Help them grow. When you do that, you reduce stress. Do you know that suicide is the second leading cause of death, ages 10 through 32? 10 through 34. Suicide is the second leading cause of death. Do you know that 47,500 people every year die by suicide in America? Calculate that number and see what is happening in 1 minute. According to World Health Organization, it said that every 40 seconds, someone dies by suicide. That is the pandemic in our hands, which means we have had pandemic all our life. Nobody's talking about it. Now we say COVID-19. COVID-19 is just one of those. We have had pandemic in our hands. In 2019, according to CDC, 12 million Americans seriously do what? Thought about suicide.
Dr. Ruth, if I allow you, you are an expert in this topic. As a matter of fact, we will take this topic in another edition. I have to bring you back to talk about suicide. Staggering statistics you've got there. So that is so alarming. I guess that my viewers will be able to have one or two things to learn regarding suicide, the triggers, what to look out for, and how to actually help people going through those moments. Till I come your way again, this is RSJ Lifematics signing out. Again, life is so short, make the very best out of it.
Before you go, I'm just gonna give you 4 things that you need to know. Strengthen your economic support, strengthen access and delivery of care to our communities, create protective environment, promote connectiveness, avoid social distancing, but you can do what? Physical distance, all right? Teach coping and problem solving skills. And with this, these are proven evidence-based. that is published. If you go to Center for Disease Control and Prevention, you will see it. And as we meet again, if you or your loved one is in crisis, please call 1-800-273-8255.
Can you repeat that number again for my viewers?
1-800-273-8255.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruth. I know you do have a passion for what you do, and thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts today. Again, till I meet you sometimes next week, it is me, Jude, RSJ Lifematics, the mathematics of life. Always remember, life is so short, make the very best out of it. Ciao.